Give me your personal take on Donald Trump and his electability.
Well, Jan, I went to Dallas a couple of months ago to the big Trump event there at the American Airlines Arena. There was 20,000 people there, and from many different walks of life, and they want somebody that can stir things up, that can change Washington as we know it. You know, a Congress approval rating right now is about 12 to 14%, depending on the polls. That's unbelievable. 12 to 14%. Our lawmakers approval rating. You have a situation where Americans are tired of business as usual. And Trump is a guy that the pundits, even the best, the Crofthammers, George Will and others didn't think he'd last much longer than 30 to 45 days, and he's proven them all wrong. And he continues to get better as a candidate. And yes, he's got his flaws, but what I've noticed, Jan, is two things. One is people don't care about his issues.
Right.
They just want to see change in Washington, and they want to see someone that understands business, that has the ability to create jobs, that has been successful in business, that wants to create other opportunities for others. So that's number one. And the second thing is this is a guy that's taken the media straight on. Most Americans, especially us conservatives, are fed up with the media as usual, which is about 85% liberal and pro-Democrat. I mean, just the CNBC debate the other night, all the Republican candidates teed off on the interviewers or the people asking the questions. And this has really created a groundswell of something that many of us are aware of, is the fact that the left-leaning media and the leftist media of America does not like Republicans.
What do your colleagues, and we've talked about this on air many, many times because you're kind of a aberration among them. You're a conservative Christian journalist, and you're dealing with 95% very liberal guys and gals there in the media. In the White House press corps, what are they saying about this Trump phenomenon?
Well, the conservatives see it for what it is. I mean, the friends of mine with the conservative media at the White House understand what I just explained. They see the fact that Americans are fed up with business as usual, especially conservative Republican, conservative Americans. Secondly, they know that the media is a big problem. The conservative media knows that the other opposition is a big problem for them. So they see it pretty much as well. They aren't convinced at this point that Trump will continue to be ahead in the polls for a long time, but nonetheless, you got guys like Crofthammer and Byron York and a few others that are beginning to say, this guy, Trump, is becoming a better and better candidate as time goes on.
Do you think that he could beat Hillary Clinton?
Well, you know, Trump has a favorability rating that's strong amongst those that support him, and there's a lot of people that don't favor him because he's too brash and he's too outspoken. You know, Hillary still has a lot of problems. The leftists, the Democrats, the liberals are going to do everything they can to keep her propped up, despite Benghazi, despite the email calamity and the fact that she had her own server, on and on and on. They're going to do everything they can to keep her propped up. So, good question, Jen. Don't know the answer for sure, but we're still a long time from November 2016.
We are talking to Bill Koenig this hour. You can learn more at his website, watch.org, W-A-T-C-H, watch.org. And I'll say more about his e-newsletter just a little bit later. Bill, who is the most on the Republican side, because I'm not sure the left gives a rip about Israel any longer, but on the Republican side, who do you feel is the most pro-Israel electable candidate?
You know, I had that question by one of the Israeli officials. I just got back from Israel, spent a couple of weeks in Jerusalem, and one of the members of the Israeli government asked me that question. I said, you know, this is probably the most vocal, supportive group of Republican candidates for the state of Israel we've ever had. I think they all are very pro-Israel. I think that Ted Cruz probably communicates it more effectively than anybody, and that includes Jewish members of Congress. He just really gets it. He understands it. He understands the importance of supporting the state of Israel. Mike Huckabee is extremely well-liked in Israel amongst Jewish people because of his very strong support of Israel. Trump's pro-Israel. You know, all of them. Even Rand Paul was taken over there for about a week to 10-day trip early last year, and he's become more supportive of Israel. So from that standpoint, I think the Republican Party's never had a better group of candidates that are pro-Israel that will stand for Israel regardless. Every one of them opposed the Iran deal, too.
What is the number one change you would like to see with a new administration? The first two that come to my mind, of course, would be obviously a stronger stand on Israel, but the second second one, and it's almost ranking as high with me as that one, is the protection of Christians, particularly in the Middle East. So what would be the number one or two changes you would like to see with a new administration?
Well, Jen, I think a couple things. One would be more and more fiscal conservatism. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to happen. This House just cut a deal with Obama. Boehner worked out a deal with Obama. There's going to be about $65-70 billion in new spending. Cruz and the conservatives spoke out against this, saying it's just way too much new debt. The big problem for the Republican Party, as you know, is we have a battle right now between the conservatives and the moderates, and the Democrats are just sitting back laughing about it. But that's the big tension in the Republican Party, is the opposing sides. I'd like to see, us become more and more fiscally conservative. Also like to see the tax code simplified dramatically, even back to a flat tax, which Huckabee and sound like maybe Trump will go there. Cruz just mentioned he wants to, no income tax for $35,000 and under income, and then 10% above that. I think they need to do something like that. The thing that I'm concerned about, Jan, is the direction of our country morally. And when LGBT, from the day that Obama took office, LGBT was one of his most important things that he put time and effort into. From the very time he was being sworn in as President of the United States, that has been a focus. And unfortunately, it's created great division within the church, within the home, within corporations, and throughout America. The thing that I'm concerned about, Jan, is the direction of our country morally.